Okay, I think we're live. So thanks for joining. This is July 31st, 2025. Node Build group meeting. This. And let me share my screen. Maybe sharing this window. Okay. So let's go through the, you can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so let's go through the agenda. First one being update infrastructure providers list. And that's the link. Let's take a look at it. Providers updated would be great if someone with the current information on all providers could update it so we can have a single source of truth. Okay, any comments on this or?
I'll volunteer to take this on since the OpenJS Foundation has been working to sort of standardize and organize all of the infrastructure providers,
Okay.
and keep, clarify all of our agreements with them and make sure that some of them we have co-marketing agreements with, and we've told we will update these pages to reflect that. So I kind of probably have the most up-to-date list of what this is, though I still probably have some gaps. I'll have to work through other build working group members, but I'll assign this to myself.
Okay, so I guess, so the common, I guess OpenJS Foundation has been trying to unify all the,
agreements and
the infrastructure
mm-hmm.
provided. Yeah, I guess that would be it, providers list. So. Sure, yeah, that looks it. There you go. Anything else? Nope. All right, thanks for taking this on. Machines at OSU. I think Richard is busy with this. Anybody else has any other updates on it?
Yeah, I had been talking with Lance, the director of OSU OSL. There was two separate issues here. One of them was they were having a funding issue at the time that this opened up. Yeah. And then afterwards, Lance had put out a message to people who had bare metal servers there, notifying them that the entire data center is going to have to move. I don't know that they have found a new home yet. They're looking for one. It all just kind of adds a haze of risk around it. A data center move could have an impact on our testing operations. I mean, best case scenario, they find somewhere they can just move everything to. Lance, when I asked him about that, I was like, is this, nobody at Node got notified about this. Who's on this list? He let us know that, he only reached out to people who had bare metal servers. And since most of ours are VMs running on machines, he said that, the machines had moved, they'd established new VMs, move the VMs over, it would be a lot less of a downtime and issue for us. So he did say the AIXL parts will likely have an outage at some. So I'd sent him a list of all of our IPs and asked him, are we going to be affected? So there's that too. So there's a co-location switch. So OSU OSL is also still somewhat of a risk, just because their financial situation is kind of wavering. With the university no longer wanting to support them having their own data center on campus, sort of changes the picture of a place where students go to learn how to be sysadmins and manage infrastructure. So I'm not sure what the future looks like there. It's different though, and change is likely, but nothing to report right now.
And I guess in addition to the power stuff, this will affect our Linux on ARM capacity as well, because at the moment, as of the next week, I guess, all of our capacity there will be on OSU OSL as well. So
right,
which is a bit more of an important platform, arguably, than the power stuff.
Right. Which also dovetails into when we talked. Yeah, that's another issue down the list. So we'll
Yeah, sure.
get to that on the when we talk about the replace works on ARMS later on.
Okay. There might be a chance to use IBM Cloud for some of the power stuff, but I guess whenever Richard's back, I'll bring that up again.
Mm-hmm.
For both X and Linux. So yeah, I'll talk about this next time.
Yeah, I mean, for
All
sure,
right,
it's always good to have redundancy of providers, which we don't have quite so much on the power side at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on how much resources we need. We'll have to follow up with the IBM side, someone I'm talking to, and if all goes according to plan, then we might be able to provision some machines there. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, so that's that. Moving on. Requiring physical 2FA for build workgroup and web in front enders. Anything new on this?
Nothing new other than I did have a question about where the status of this. You know, we're at it's been on the agenda 3 meetings in a row with no change. So I'm curious if it still needs to be on the agenda. If you know what, basically the having better security and having better authentication around access to sensitive resources is good. Requiring hardware keys isn't something that's possible. I mean, we can, you know, if there's a if people want to use hardware keys, then we can set up a program to provide them or get access to them, etc. But like, there's no way to hard require it be a hardware key. There is the option in GitHub to disable poor two-factor authentication methods like SMS. But then there was a question of like anybody that has these poor ones still enabled on their account that don't know it would get like removed from the org if they didn't go and change that. I'm not sure if there's a you know, I'm unsure about whether changing that setting just boots everybody out that doesn't have the right security settings and then requires us to administratively go through and add everybody back in that needs adding, or whether it is a sends people warnings, or you know how that actually works. And so I think the question was whether or not we could kind of put the word out to people to please disable this. And I don't know if anybody is doing that or whose shoulders that falls upon.
I'm not aware of anyone pushing for that at the moment.
Yeah,
unless
so
there are enforcements, nothing will happen. Right?
Yeah.
On a similar topic, probably not related to this, but V8 is actually soon we're going to mandate hardware keys. So they said by the end of third quarter, I think, if I'm not
Is
mistaken.
that for
They
all
said,
committers? Or
sorry?
is that for all committers to the project?
For all, yeah, for everybody, whoever that wants to commit, you should have a hardware key to be able to do a +1 to essentially review the code and submit and all that. So, yeah, we'll have to do that soon. Maybe Node can do it down the road and be like, you know, we're copying V8.
Where's V8 developed? Are they on GitHub
Garrett.
or are they on? They're using Garrett. Oh
Yeah.
wow, okay, interesting.
They use something like that.
Oh yeah, okay.
Something like that, and to be able to do a +1 and submit your code, you should be able to log in with a key now. I mean, soon, not right now, but soon. So they're gonna discontinue support for any other type of 2FA, SMS, local tokens, any of that, TOTP. All I think that's what they said. It's going away. So.
Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Very strict. Okay.
And Garrett has a way to configure that. I'm sure. I mean, it's
it's a Google account. It's a Google account. So they have integrated everything with just your Google account. So you have to enable keys in your Google account and log in with it.
Got it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know that GitHub has that option. So
yeah, I haven't checked
for
that
Node
either. For Node.
Yeah.
So I mean, if there's not much to be done on this topic, maybe we should remove it from here because, again, like you said, it's been here forever.
Yeah, I just don't know if anyone on the build working group can do anything about it, or if this is pushed up to the TSC to change policies at the project level because yes, we should all be using hardware keys. I'm not sure what we should do next on that. If people need support to get them, if we should shut off anything, SMS, etc., or what. But I'm not sure who gets to make that call. So I don't think it's us anymore.
Okay, so we should get rid of this.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So I guess the question is, do we want to actively push it to TSC though, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think so.
It'll just stall. It'll get forgotten about, not be on anyone's agenda. So yeah, if we want the TSC to make a decision, then yeah, we should chuck it up there for sure.
Can we move issues between projects?
You should be able to. Yeah, I've moved stuff between repositories before.
Right, maybe we should move this to the TSC's repository.
Is there have you got anything like a label you can add to it that would get their attention? Is that a thing here? Is there a TSC or anything? TSC agenda? Yeah.
Oh wait, no, not this.
Oh no, sorry.
Yeah, this is the build.
Don't think we need to get them involved in the meeting.
Yeah, so recording people. Wrong issue. Let's do build agenda. So we just want to remove, I guess, build agenda, right? We don't want it anymore, or do we still want to?
I'd maybe leave it on both because I guess it'll come back to us one way or another.
Sure.
So we should probably, if it's going to be discussed up there, then we should come back to it and see what they said. Sort of thing. Yep.
Okay, so that's done. Make sure it's not there anymore. Perfect. Okay, so that's that. The next one would be potentially transitioning to 1Password. I think we've been talking about this as well.
Yeah, this one was one that I opened as sort of I had concerns about the way we were using Pass and about, historical access to things. And, we had kind of come to the conclusion that the main issue with that is not the fact that people still have historical access to things. It's the fact that we don't actually rotate keys when we offboard people. And that's what leaves them the access more than anything. And that even transition to 1Password would, still had that same issue because you could still have a local vault that still has all the old access. Now, that being said, using 1Password for some of the secrets that we have in the secrets repository would be beneficial because there's a lot more tooling and automation built around integrating with 1Password. And I bumped into this yesterday where it'd be really nice to store all of the certificates and passwords for code signing for Apple and Microsoft in 1Password, and then hook Jenkins Secrets Manager up to 1Password Secrets Manager so that we just put the secrets in 1Password. Jenkins is able to get those and pass them to the builds, and there's no configuration or administration involved. Changing the secret is just put a new one in 1Password and everything works. So I would still like to pursue this. I'm still at a question of, should we try and use the existing Build IOJS 1Password account that is TSC members have full admin access, and then they would also start to get build level access to some secrets? Or do we create a new vault at the OpenJS Foundation 1Password account? I'm not sure who decides this or what we should do with that.
Okay. Anything else on this?
No, that's the main.
That's the main. All right.
I guess this is another ask the TSC thing.
That's the key about whether we should share their account or their account, one with the admin, or create another one.
Right.
Should it be added to their agenda or not?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably be slightly more inclined to have a separate one because, not all TSC members have access to the build stuff, for example. So having it completely isolated is probably a better choice.
Okay. So that's that.
The
Next one would be. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say the only question I have on that is there anything that is in both 1Password now and in the secrets repository that would be expected to continue to exist in both the TS, because I know Michael is a member of both, so he may have been, maintaining a secret in both places. I don't know. It's just a
Yeah, Richard's in both as well. He's on the TSC.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's valid. I think probably worth sticking that as a note in that issue, just as a question.
What was the question?
I'll add it to the issue, but it's just whether or not there are any secrets that exist in the 1Password account for the TSC that are also in the build working group secrets.
Okay. But
maybe like an app.
Whether there's any duplication. Yeah.
Yeah, any duplication if anything's being maintained in both spots.
Okay, so yeah, if you're gonna add it, that'll be great. Anything else on this? Nope. Moving.
Nope.
Next one would be replacing works on ARM machines affected by Equinix Metal sunset. Let's see.
So we had a meeting with Bumik, who is sort of runs the works on ARM program for ARM. And sort of the overarching issue is that our usage of works on ARM is somewhat unique. There's us, there's Adoptium, and one other project that he didn't mention that actually have large servers at Equinix. And there's not many else. And he's trying to kind of transition away from that. And so we're somewhat at an impasse of, well, we have these massive machines. They're probably over provisioned and we're probably not using anywhere near the capacity that they offer, but that's what we're using. We need to replace them. We need to replace them very soon, like next week. So we're going to lose a lot of ARM capacity very fast. And we don't have a good solution for what we're going to do. So we have an interim solution, which is I'm going to stand up some ARM machines on Azure in the OpenJS Foundation account that has some credits. And in the meantime, Bumik is going to explore talking to the OSL about potentially hosting some more machines there so that we could move some of our stuff over there. But that does concentrate our ARM coverage at one provider that is also a question mark stable provider, so it's no matter how we look at it, there's a high risk of us having to change the way that we support ARM or what we do with ARM testing. So I'm not sure what that means for the project as far as like how we bubble up or what we do to change support for ARM, or if we say, well, hey, look, we're no longer able to test all these different ARM options. Like I'm not sure how we dial that back, but the short-term solution is I need to stand something up on Azure as fast as I can, so that we have something to take the place of the machines that are about to go away. So that is next on my agenda.
Okay. Next.
And unfortunately, we sort of had the impression we had until May of 2026, and then about a month ago, they were like, "Oh, and no, August, you're done," and it's like, "Oh."
Yeah.
So did I capture that right, Stuart? Does that sound?
Yeah, pretty much. I lost my speaker at the beginning of that, but I got the last half of it, and it sounded good. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the update. Anything else we want to talk about on this topic?
No, I think that's good.
Perfect. Next one being infrastructure for Orca.
Okay, so this one has sort of been ongoing as we've redone the way macOS infra works, and it has been rebuilt. This one was floating around because it needed to be documented, and then has not been. Now, an update to the macOS instances. We had to upgrade Orca in order to be able to support macOS 15 and Xcode 16 because the nodes. Orca is basically a Kubernetes cluster that runs OS X, and those nodes can only go forward in time so far. I think they can go one forward. They're not able to support. Uh, Actually, going forward, I don't think it's a possibility. The nodes underneath have to be upgraded, so they got upgraded, and they're running the newest version of Orca. So now we can build 10.15 images with Xcode 16, so that we can make all the changes for Node 25 and Node 26. With all the coming down the pipe V8 changes that need to be made. That when that upgrade happened, the images that we had built, the OS X 13 images, were built off of a older version of OS X that had a bug in the hypervisor that made it so that those images would not start. So we kind of we upgraded the cluster, and then all the images that we used for building and testing and were dead. So I had to rebuild those. It required a meeting with Mac Stadium to give me like some backstory on, we booted the images in their infra so I could pull config and stuff off, because some of the stuff, most of it's in Packer. And then over time, there has been a little bit of curating the pets and turning them in, adding some things and saving the image and adding some things and saving the image and not migrating that back into the Packer. I've since done a lot of migration to move this stuff back into the Packer. There's still some stuff to do. Last night at about 1 a.m., I got the release image working. So everything is working. Everything is signing again. I had a fight with Notary Tool, which was really just a fight with OS X keychain and trying to unlock a keychain in an automated fashion during a CI build when macOS really expects there to be somebody sitting in front of the window to do stuff. And it was a lot of wailing and gnashing of teeth to get that going, but it's going now. I now know the incantations to actually shut off keychain timeouts, which was difficult to find. So moving forward, there's a couple issues out there to rebuild images in OS X 15. Once we get those, then there was a question. This is what I was trying to solve before we got on the call today, is determining what versions of OS X we can build with. Like, we don't have that many nodes in our cluster, and so simultaneously testing and building on 13 and 15 will be problematic, because I don't know that we've got the resources to do that without adding more nodes to the cluster. That would require budget, which I don't think we have. I think Mac Stadium is, their generosity is we're within the limits of their generosity. I don't think we can push it further. Yeah. So the question I was trying to figure out is whether or not we could use Mac OS 15 with Xcode 16 to build versions of Node, say all the way back to Node 20, that work on Catalina on Intel and work on, which is 10.15, and work on Big Sur on ARM.
Yeah, as far as I know, there are compiler options to allow you to make it compatible with the older versions. So
okay, and that'll work.
It should be good.
And that'll work that far back. That's the question I had. Like, I didn't know if it was like you could go back a few versions, or Xcode 16 can build for Catalina no problem. I didn't know, like, if Apple has dropped support for Catalina, so if they're making changes to Xcode that might accidentally break 10.15, I don't know that they would keep maintaining the ability to go back that far. I'm sure there's a limit on how far back they would go. So that's what I'm trying to determine, is whether or not we can just run these 10.15 images, or if there's a way that we can, run this in parallel where only certain versions are tested on certain images. If that's the case, if it's certain versions are tested on certain images, then we're fine. Just as long as we don't get into where a pull request tests against both 10.13 and 10.15. That's when we're going to have resource constraint issues. But yeah, that's the OS X picture.
Nice. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Next one being extending Azure credits.
This one got added to the build agenda as a result of an email saying, "Hey, your credits are in jeopardy of expiring." And what it is Azure sends out a thing saying you've used up 80% of your credits, except the number that they're measuring that 80% from is the amount of credit they've granted us all time. And so we're not in any jeopardy of running out of credits soon. That being said, when they granted us credits this year, they granted us somewhat less than they granted us in the past. Enough such that we are on a path of usage versus credit availability to where we may be running out before another renewal. The other issue is Microsoft has been reorganizing and juggling around and laying people off, and the open source programs office has significantly less options moving forward. And so there's always a risk that Microsoft will not be able to grant us further funding for this. So this is sort of an issue for us in the long term. And, with the speed at which people make agreements and the speed at which people sign contracts and the speed at which people say, this is not that long term. It's only about 10 months away. So, we should start to pursue as many options as we can find. There was a service provider that reached out to us, to Richard, that myself and Ben have been trying to pursue, but he hasn't responded to us. So we don't have any calls on the calendar or anything like that. So, but yeah, that's an issue. So the option here is that the OpenJS Foundation did get a credit. We are using that for the unencrypted server for Node.js and also for the code signing for all of the OpenJS projects that we're using now. But there's still enough credit in there to kind of help Node get over the finish line for the year. But if we're also moving ARM machines over there and replacing the Equinix stuff temporarily, I mean, that could burn up pretty quickly if we, yeah. So
are these your credits on a annual basis or something? I guess we're 80% through, probably not if it's 10 months away. I'm assuming the 10 months away is based on that 80% until we get to 100. Is that right?
Yeah, the 10 months away is based off of our pattern of costs, which, it's stable because we're not. Yeah, our burn rate's pretty steady, and so I can just look at how much credits are left and how much the burn rate is, and it's about 10 months. There's also a lot that we could do to kind of try and reduce costs. Our architectural pattern for our CI nodes is very 15 years ago. We're not using the cloud like the cloud. We're standing up servers and leaving them there and leaving them connected. And most of the time, most of the time they sit there idle. So, transitioning to using more of a ephemeral on-demand type of methodology for these machines would be desirable, because then that could cut costs significantly. So that I think solving these problems, and this is the same issue with the ARM servers, if we can reduce costs dramatically, then it's a lot easier to find someone to pay for smaller pots of money. So that is something we should probably start looking into.
Yeah, just for the record, at the other project that I work on, we are already using some dynamic machines on Azure for Linux x64. I have somebody at the moment that's working to see if they can do the same for Windows machines as well. So it's possible we can piggyback on, the work that he's doing and learn from
Oh,
that.
that'd be great. Are you using a Jenkins infrastructure or
Yes,
something else? Okay.
it's Jenkins. Yep.
I think the main thing is like I've built ephemeral workloads for the Drupal project.
Yep.
And we sort of struggled with the variety of Jenkins cloud plugins, and I'm not sure, but that was, 10 years ago, 12 years ago, things have changed
Right.
since then.
Sure,
I'm
yeah.
just curious if which has it settled on this is the one that we should use, like the Apache JClouds plugin looks pretty good, but I'm not sure it's.
Yeah, we're using an Azure specific one. It's an interesting one because about a year ago, it became unsupported, and it was kind of they said, "Oh, the community will adopt it." And nobody in the community really adopted it, but I think Microsoft has taken it back again, or anyway, we're it's back and we're using it again because we thought we were going to have to switch to something else.
Yeah,
So at
that's
the
the
moment, at least, that is available as an Azure official plugin by the sound of it, which is good.
yeah. I feel like every Jenkins plugin is essential and also shaky
Yeah,
as far as like whether it's going to continue to be supported and
yeah, sure.
yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
the other thing from this perspective is that if we start using that, even if we can use it for the release machines and so on, it's a good thing to have from a secure development perspective as well, right? To have
Right.
machines because you look at like the salsa specifications and things like that at the top levels, you need to have it on ephemeral machines.
Right. So all of those things are this is all stuff that we should be aiming towards. And so,
Yeah. I mean, I did it a slightly different way initially for Windows machines at the other project because I'm actually running builds in Docker containers now. So it
mhm.
spins up a new Docker image, shuts it down afterwards, but it's still on a static physical host like the ones we've got here or VM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's, things like Elastic Container Service and something similar, I'm sure, at Azure. Like maybe we could do that without using machines at all. Maybe we just use a container service that um, I don't know. It's something we should explore.
Yep.
It kind of dovetails into this.
Yeah, because I think
Ep-
that, as you're saying, about Microsoft and, they're cutting costs. I think everybody's cutting costs. We've seen it with, Equinix pulling out of the business and that sort of thing.
mhm.
This is a problem that's only going to get worse. So trying to be more efficient with the hardware that we generously have from all our providers it's got to be something that we need to look at. Make
Yeah,
sure
I think
we're prepared for the future, I guess.
I
Or
think
get more sponsorship from people.
yeah, I think our one of our challenges is um, if Azure was the only thing we were doing for Windows, then we could probably just focus on this and get it knocked out, and it'd be not that bad. But
Yeah.
because we have Windows resources on Azure and Rackspace, then how we manage our Windows machines becomes sort of like, well, we can't just use this Azure cloud thing in addition to our Rackspace machines
Well, you kind of
easily,
can.
Oh,
You
can
kind of
we?
can. What we're doing is we have this, for Linux x64, for example, at the other project, we have some static Linux machines exactly as we have here. But if they're exhausted, it will spin, and there's no machines available with a particular label, it will then spin up a machine on Azure.
Oh,
So you can use both and get them
oh,
to
right,
use
right.
full
You just leave in the
capacity.
labels. Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That
Okay.
does actually work in Jenkins and the plugins. So that yeah, the multiple provider thing shouldn't be a problem. It would, you would use the Rackspace permanent machines if it's there. If not, you can spin some up on Azure, which would be a good
Yeah,
way
I
of
think
working.
I think I think the administration of those becomes the issue is that we end up with a parallel path of Ansible maintaining the Rackspace machines, and then Packer or something else maintaining the ephemeral images for Azure or something. It like
Yeah,
it
that
start
is
we
yeah, there is definitely a scalability problem for sure, where you potentially need to maintain these images at different cloud providers.
right
Ideally, you can use your
separately and
Ansible groups to set them up to set up the images, so it's not too much of a problem.
Yeah.
I think we do some of that. I think for Orca, we again, I'm talking about the other projects. I haven't seen exactly how we're doing it here for Node, because it's been a while since I looked at it. But we have a GitHub action that will regenerate the thing with Packer automatically and that sort of thing from the playbooks.
Nice.
So yeah, there are definitely options for these sorts of things that will hopefully reduce the overhead a bit if we move towards a more dynamic infrastructure. But yeah, it's more of an overhead than what we have at the moment for sure. And yeah, I guess given where we are, Azure is probably a good place to start and prototype this sort of thing.
Yeah. Maybe we should open up a separate build infrastructure
Yeah.
issue, like an epic, to be like, look for ways to ephemeralize CI machines and reduce costs.
Yep.
As an overarching goal.
Yeah. When you're sitting there with a 180 core Ampere Ultra, you don't have to worry about it too much.
Right.
But we don't have that option anymore.
Okay. Anything else on this topic? Nope. All right, moving forward. Sorry, go ahead.
Do you do anything about the Azure credits, or are we just happy to leave it for now, given that it's 10 months away?
I mean, I think the only thing we can start to do is look for ways to reduce costs.
Yeah.
And I can maybe bring something up with Stefan. Is that how you pronounce his him?
Yeah.
Bring up something with Stefan about, okay, if we run out of funding in this subscription, can we move these machines over to another subscription or reprovision them under the, is there some amount of machines or something that we could move? And should we do, like we should start a discussion on this. This looks like we're narrowing down and we're going to run out of money. Should we move off of this sooner rather than later? And when should we do that? So,
yeah. Also, just to be clear, the ARM servers that you were thinking of provisioning, were you going to do them on the Node account or the Linux
no,
Foundation?
there's no extra space in the Node account. That was I'd reached out to Stefan about that, and I was like, oh, it looks like we have $130,000, and it's like, oh, no, that's how much they've given us over all time.
Yeah,
we've used 80% of that.
Sure.
That was so here's that, and then when I really got into it, I was like, oh, okay, I see, we're actually spending this all out. So those ARM servers would be spun up in the OpenJS Foundation account, similar to how the unencrypted machine is now, which I would love for us to be able to get rid of. I put a issue out there to be like, hey, what if we got rid of this rsync service? And a couple of people came out of the woodwork and were like, oh, well, no, please don't. So I'm like, okay, well, we have an rsync service that we're providing to the community. Some members are behind a great firewall. That's how they get access to all these node downloads. So yeah.
Interesting.
Okay. Perfect. Moving on, the next one would be enabling Rust for temporal. Let's see, any updates on this? So I personally, we're trying to move to Clang. So at the same time, I tried to enable this on our platforms, only PPC on S390. And the problem we're facing right now is they're using features within Rust that requires nightly builds. If you use stable or beta versions of Rust, you get compilation errors because those features are not supported. So I reached out to a few LLVM maintainers for our platforms, and not all the operating systems we support actually have stable or properly usable nightly builds available, one being AIX. So once all this client stuff is done, I'll need to follow up with V8 maintainers upstream on using these features within Rust and the potential of getting rid of them, because not everyone is able to have nightly builds of Rust available. This is again only for our platforms. ARM x86, all that is maintained upstream by V8 automatically. So they have their own version of Rust, same way they have a version of Clang. Chromium maintains it. So I'm assuming if you're building it on our platforms, I guess we need to decide: are you using their binaries or are we using system binaries? Same thing we do for Clang GCC. That's the update I had on this. I don't know if anybody else has any updates on this.
I don't have any updates. I just have a hunch that we should reach out to the SmartOS folks, and that Rust and SmartOS and support and things like that should validate and verify that they've got the ability to do this, or that that it's there. Because I think SmartOS is like one of those things where there's like sort of one guy that works on it, and I've ended up having to rebuild these machines and kind of get them working, but I'm not going to add Rust support to those. That's so it's on the SmartOS community to do that. That being said, the SmartOS maintainer is also the MNX.io service provider that's giving us some servers, notably our backup server and some other things. So,
Have we pinged him here?
no, have not.
Do they even know this exists?
I have no idea.
Probably not at the moment, no. I guess we must have a platform team we can add, haven't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. So at, let me see, smart.
Second one there, Node.js platform SmartOS. That'll be it. Yep.
Just gonna do that for you.
Yeah.
Is Rust
And also, what about nightlies?
Yeah.
Well, let's
is Rust supported, and is nightly Rust supported?
Yeah.
Let's answer the first question first. Let's see if we get surprised by all this. If they didn't even know this is a thing, so
Yeah, sure. Just to reiterate something you said earlier, you were talking about nightly builds on AIX. Was that of Rust specifically you were talking about that don't exist?
yes,
Yeah. Okay.
that's Rust specific. Yeah.
Yeah.
For GC, for Clang and C++ usage, fine.
Yeah.
That's after him. He's working on that right now. But Rust is a different story. So we'll have to finalize all that.
Do you know, I haven't read through all that issue, but in terms of needing a nightly build, is it just that they need features that are only in the nightly build, so a one-off build would potentially allow things to work? Or do they need literally to keep up with every nightly build or something like that?
Well, no, it's a one-off nightly build, but I mean, next week's nightly build might have a feature that they're using that doesn't exist in previous week, right? So,
yep, that's fine. Thanks.
But they shouldn't use nightly builds to begin with because not everybody can support this. But we'll get there. We'll get there when the time comes. I also have to ask SmartOS folks if they support Clang. I probably should bring that up. I'm not sure if they do. Do they? Like LLVM and all that.
I don't know.
Okay.
I do not know.
I'm not sure.
I should probably ping them on the other issue for Clang stuff. So.
Yeah, but yeah, from what I've seen, SmartOS sort of like a big change happens, and then SmartOS finds out about it, and there's not many people working on it, and it's kind of at the very last minute things get fixed. But I would rather not have to jump through any hoops for something like that. Get in front of it this time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll bring it up with them. They just need to be able to support LLVM. As long as they do, then Rust should be there. Yeah. Okay. So that's that.
Yeah. I had a question on that as well. Like the nightly builds, are they doing that because I think temporal is not stable features, kind of like work in progress at this time? Are they kind of tweaking it, using nightly builds for that reason? And once it gets stabilized, that they'll just use the stable features?
The thing is, I think Chromium, because Chromium has their own team that maintains their Rust binaries, they are okay with using the latest and greatest. They do that all the time. They use it. They do that on with C++ as well. So if they have the capability, they'll make use of it. Unless someone like us brings it up with them saying, hey, this doesn't work, can we not? And then they'll, then you have to propose an alternative and get a workaround. So they usually just use the latest just because they can. That's essentially the answer.
Gotcha.
Yeah. We don't have the luxury of maintaining our own binaries. So we just can't use the latest all the time. We have to make sure it's all the tests pass, it's compatible, it's backward compatible, all that stuff. So this is a problem that I'll definitely bring it up with them. I'm not sure if they will fix it themselves or we have to propose fixes ourselves and then land it. We'll see what we can do.
Okay.
Yeah. All right. That's the end of the issues on our list here. Anything else we want to talk about?
There was just one other thing I wanted to go back to. We were talking about, building old macOS versions with newer clients. I'm just looking at what we're using from our other project, and we're using, by the look of it, Xcode 15.1, and we are using the version that says, I think it's back to macOS 10.9 as a.
Oh, good. Okay, that's a nice wide range.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
Okay, great. Then theoretically, we could just live off the 10.15 images and build everything on those, not have to worry about maintaining the 13 images.
Potentially, yeah, I guess. Can't remember which version we're actually building on, but yeah, it's certainly got the option to target 10.9.
Yeah, we're building on 13 currently, targeting 10.15, and I think we want to move to Xcode 15 or OS X 10.15.4 and Xcode 16 dot something or 15 dot something. Yeah, but
yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, weirdly we have Xcode 16 running on OS X 13 because we installed it from the command line and that works, but it won't let you do that from the
GUI, yeah.
From the GUI. So
yeah, fine.
Perfect. Any other topics? Questions?
Nothing else from me.
Nothing else from me.
Oh, do you guys mind adding your names here? I guess I can add your names, no problem.
Yeah, I can add my name.
Yeah, let me share the link here.
Yeah.
Stop sharing so it doesn't. There you go. Perfect. I guess if there's nothing else, thank you for joining. And once this is wrapped up, I'll upload it to the build repo as a new meeting minutes. Thank you for joining, and we'll talk in 3 weeks.
Great.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.